Burning Barrel Podcast.
All right, and we're back. The Burning Barrel Podcast. It's been 2 long weeks. As always, I am Paul, and with me is Hank. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, we're back. It's been a long time. So where were we?
We were playing video games.
Yeah, we didn't go anywhere either. So we've been here. We've just been like, well, GTA came out, so we should play that. And Heroes of the Storm the week before that.
Yeah, because we haven't been playing that any other times.
That's the first time we've ever played Heroes of the Storm, so it was worth missing out on. Ben has been going hard in that game. Apparently he's level 31, and that's gross.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He started playing a week ago. He went too hard.
I think he has people he's playing with when he's playing, though, at least.
Yeah, I think that's why he's going hard, is because he's actually been playing with his roommate, for one thing, so they kind of... I think it's one of those things that when they get home from work, they always have another person to play with right away, and also, like, another real-life friend in his old town that he lived in or something.
Yeah, he was playing, he went 24 hours the one day I was playing with him or something.
God.
Like, he was going harder than Ben was. It was weird. It was intense.
And I guess I understand it, but the thing is, I kind of got out of that. Like, Dota 2 was that game for me. That was that MOBA where there was so much to learn in that game that it didn't even feel like it was a hard 150 first hours, because every game's about an hour, and there's over 100 characters, so that's basically trying at least one game with every character, and then, like, a few games with characters you liked. So I don't even think that's as ridiculous when you think that he's only been playing the same characters he owns.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a full roster, for one thing, so he's been playing the same character that much time, basically the same few.
Yeah. He's been leveling the free ones from that week, I guess.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, dang.
And I kind of got out of the leveling up the free rotation characters because it was kind of killing the game for me.
Yes, that I totally agree with that. I stopped because it was having to play heroes I wasn't as into.
Sure.
I just started playing, focusing on playing a hero I wanted to be playing.
And
for sure, I had to do that.
That game is really built around finding a hero that you like the playstyle of or enjoy and playing with it. It's not the type of game that is, for one thing, balanced. It's not balanced at all, which is probably fine because it's just meant to be fun. That's why I think it's kind of weird. Heroes of the Dorm just ended. That they're actually pushing for an eSports thing with an unbalanced game where there are clearly high tier picks, basically.
There are 12 heroes that are always going to be played.
Yeah, which is kind of weird for a MOBA, really. When you, because with the International and even League of Legends and stuff, there are core heroes that are top tier, but then the meta changes when, top players find out a new way to use a hero that maybe isn't used very much, and then that hero somehow becomes top tier for a bit. There's this kind of weird, push and pull kind of thing with those MOBAs where, because they're balanced so well, it doesn't matter what hero you play if you find a novel way to play it within your group makeup, whereas in Heroes, there's just clearly, this hero will likely never beat this hero.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, one of the things that makes, the International so great is, high-level play, people are experimenting and coming up with new builds and stuff on the spot that nobody's been playing successfully.
When you see a Meepo get picked in the International, you're like, oh, shit's on now. Yeah.
I remember people were playing Venomancer in all sorts of weird ways.
Yeah.
Just building a wall of freaking his turret things in one match.
Yeah.
Just trying all sorts of weird stuff. And there's just so many heroes There's just it's the Dota. It's such a different game every time, even though it's always the same map.
Yeah.
Whereas Heroes has the problem that my problem with Hearthstone. It's like you're seeing the same stuff every time.
Hearthstone is really young though. Like, so
Yeah.
there has to be a little bit of leeway, I think. I mean,
It makes it much less intimidating for new players. Like I get why they did it,
Yeah.
why it's like that way.
it's getting to the point where it's going to be hard for new players though, because even when they released the Goblins versus Gnomes pack, that changed the way that game is played a lot. Every time they release an adventure, like the solo adventure with the new cards, that changes how the game's played. So give it another like maybe year or two when there's a possible 2 or 3 more expansions and a bunch more like extra class cards and stuff from the adventures. That game is going to be an actual esports contender, I think. It won't like Magic the Gathering, I know you're a big fan of. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I've seen a few cool things with it. That has had generations to build to get to where it is now.
I mean, what I find impressive, like Magic, the thing about Magic is it like sections it off in its history of like this is like it always has standard, which is only like the couple like most recent sets. So they're balanced, and then they have like different tiers for how big the card pool they're drawing from is. Like their card pool is so big, they just have to section it off for balance reasons. Because if they use all the old cards, it would get boring. Like they keep it fresh that way by only allowing, and it provides a way for if you just want to jump in. There's like this way you can play it. That's only these new cards.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, like, if I would just want to jump in, like the last time I jumped in, which wasn't that long ago, I made a standard deck, and I was playing and understanding stuff. It was fun.
They're going to have to do that with Hearthstone at some point because some of those
they're not
cards
there yet, though.
break that game.
Yeah. Have they banned any cards ever?
Not yet. No, they don't have enough. There are cards that you just quote unquote don't play if you're like a serious Hearthstone player because they're useless and they're like fluff cards basically.
Yeah.
But you could still play them if you wanted to, sort of thing. So they haven't outright banned stuff, but I don't think.
Well, banned stuff is usually like it's a card so powerful that everyone would play it. Unless they banned it. Like stuff that just destroys the metagame.
They have been, since it's so new, like in its infancy still, they have been still tinkering. They have the luxury of these cards are still new enough that when the meta changes, like there was some combos and stuff that hunters could do early game that would basically make them unstoppable. So they nerfed those cards specifically. So they will actually change cards because they're not like old enough yet that everybody knows about it.
They're not a physical thing, so they don't feel bad about that.
There's also that they have the luxury of being able to change what the pixels say basically and how they act. Yeah.
And they don't have to worry about people shitting themselves over a secondary market because there isn't one.
Right, yeah. So they have a lot of leeway in a lot of stuff they do, but I think that's important for what Blizzard has always been about streamlining games to the point where they're just playable. I mean, that's basically what they did with Diablo, is they made Baldur's Gate RPGs without all the shit that you have to know about playing turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, and that gives them an advantage when it comes to appealing to like getting their games to a wide number of people. Like people who aren't going to play this kind of game will play a Blizzard game in that genre.
Right. Because they get the basic idea of the mechanics and they're able to just pick it up. Yeah.
But I think that might hurt their ability to make like competitive games that are really good on that end.
I completely agree. Yes. Yeah. That's the long-rounded way of saying that I don't think Heroes of the Storm is good for esports.
Yeah.
And also, Heroes of the Storm has this weird thing where it's just not fun to watch, like some other Blizzard games can be.
Yeah. Like StarCraft can be fun to watch.
Oh, don't get me wrong. StarCraft on a high level is super fun to watch because that, I don't know, maybe it's because the mechanics
sometimes
are so
the meta
finely
is
tuned.
broken, but
but
when the meta is good, it's fun. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. World of Warcraft is kind of fun to watch, depending on if you have any investment in the game and you know what they're talking about in it.
Yeah, like, thing with Arena, you have to, like, know what people are doing, because
you have to know abilities and what people can do and what they can't do. Yeah.
And what those things look like, because there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
Like, even playing Arena, there's so much going on that I'm, like, oblivious to half of it.
Yeah. But, like, with the Heroes of the Dorm being an esports thing on ESPN, like, I think it's cool because I like that game, but I think it's a step back in taking esports as a serious thing for anybody who's an outsider looking in, because it honestly looks and plays just like a video game, like a game, almost like a toy. Whereas like Dota is even, I think there's something to not an outsider looking in. They don't understand all the complexities of Dota, so there needs to be an announcer saying like stuff and maybe giving little tidbits of information to people. Like they know their game is so intense in that way that they have like a newbie stream even of it for the international to like get people to understand why stuff is impressive when they are. Yeah. And that's what I think draws in, first of all, the casual crowd, because it's almost like the exclusive club, right? You see a huge lineup and you want to see what's inside, but there's a huge barrier of entry to getting in. You're going to be waiting in this line for like 4 hours. Whereas Heroes of the Storm almost seems like going down the red light district and just seeing the girls dancing on poles through like glass or something. You're just walking down the street and maybe you'll stop and look for 5 minutes and then you're like, okay, I'm good. Like there's not this exclusivity. And then on the other side, the people that are so into it, there's not a whole lot to grasp in Heroes of the Storm. Like there's different builds you can kind of do, but you won't if you want to win. There is a certain way to build characters in which they're the most like functional in your team layout, and that's kind of it. You have
it's much easier to wrap your head around. Like execution still is another thing.
Yeah,
but like conceptually, you can get to the point way quicker where you like understand all the heroes and know what you need to be doing.
Yeah. So like it might be funner for a casual person to watch because they understand kind of what's going on after 10 minutes of watching. And then there's nothing else to grasp onto. Whereas if you're watching Dota, the announcer's talking about all these different items you could buy. Oh, if he bought an MKB, he might have been able to blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, he wasted his BKB. There's item builds on top of the build of your hero and just how you play and stuff. And on the top level, for people that understand all that too, you can kind of backseat game in your mind. You can't backseat Diablo should have done that. He should have done his charge first instead of his like thwomp stun thing. Like there's two things you can say like, oh, he should have done this instead of this. Where in Dota, you're just like, why did Lena build that? Why did she build drums? Like she obviously should have went for this. Like there's more there for each side. There's more for the newbies to want to get attached into. There's more for the hardcore players to like kind of one up each other in their knowledge of the game. There's a meta game in actually just watching stuff during the TI during the international in the chat and seeing what other people say, and then you're being like, you're an idiot. He shouldn't, like, why would he do that there and stuff? So
there's also in Dota that early game structure. Yeah, it's so much more interesting when that's broken at high levels. Like when they can get by it with certain strategies, like that's way more compelling than every game is going to play out. It just sort of where they're just sort of roaming around.
Like, what do you mean during the laning phase?
Well, I mean, in Heroes, like, there isn't a laning phase, basically.
Well, I mean...
like, the laning phase is super short, especially at high levels. Yeah. Like, from what I've watched, it so much breaks down to just teams were in Heroes of the Dorm in particular, they were playing it safe, so they were all grouping up together because they didn't want to fuck up.
Sure.
Like,
Which is how you play that game.
yeah,
So, I mean, yeah, if we're talking about the laning stage, a good comparison would be like in Heroes of the Storm, if you have one person in each lane, you're going to get that experience.
yeah.
In Dota, you can do a 2-1-2, aggressive tri-lane, a defensive tri-lane. You can do, like, all mid if you're an idiot team. Like, you could do some really cool, different stuff to really, like,
You can
fuck
you can
over your
smoke
opponent.
up and check in the jungle or whatever.
Yeah. And, dude, items. Like,
Yeah,
items are kind of a thing. They don't need to be as intensive as they are in Dota or League of Legends. In fact, I hope they never are, because it would be broken if you did put that in Heroes. There are certain items I feel Heroes would really, really be good to have. Detection would make it so Zeratul is actually a character you could counter. Just period.
well, you just have to pick Tastar.
I know, but that's the thing, is that instead of just buying an item, you have to pick a whole character.
Yeah, exactly. I think there might be heroes who can get a skill for a sentry turret, a sentry ward.
Oh, like sentry
But then
stuff?
but then you're taking a whole talent.
Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, maybe as a Sylvanas, instead of being able to push a fucking wave, now I can see if Zeratul's here. Like, it's not
Sometimes.
sometimes. That's the thing, is that there are mechanics in there that I think they know are really cool. Like, I really like how they do stealth. I really don't like that there's no way to counter stealth.
Yeah.
Like, hard counter it.
Yeah.
You can't... I don't even like that you can't see what map you're going to be playing on, because there are some heroes that just do feel worthless depending on what map you get.
When you're doing Hero League, from what I've done, it tells you what map you're playing before you draft.
Do you see the other team?
Yeah, it's a draft. It's like you get
Oh,
one,
it's a draft.
they get two. Yeah, Hero League, they do a draft, and you know what map you're getting ahead of time.
Okay, so what you're saying is I should actually be playing Hero League because I'm actually sick of playing the quick play, the quick match. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, now that I know that gripe goes away considerably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are we ever not playing that then?
Well, I mean, you haven't been 30. You haven't been 30 for a while.
I have been this whole weekend. Why did we play anything that
Ben
wasn't that? Oh, Ben shouldn't be for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we were always playing with someone who wasn't.
Okay. Okay. Good. So we can actually counterpick and stuff now. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, I really like playing Heroes, but even if you look on Twitch, in fact, I'm going to do it right now. It's not the type of game that people necessarily want to watch ever. And I'm not exactly sure why that is necessarily, but
because you can just play it.
I guess.
I guess maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess so. I think it is.
All I know is I like playing it because the stress level is so much lower than playing Dota.
Oh, it's non-existent compared to Dota. The stress level in Dota is real. Like,
it's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
unless you win your
high.
Unless you win your lane, and then that stress turns into adrenaline the whole rest of the game, and that's addictive as fuck. That's basically why people play that game. When you're losing though, you can lose fucking hard in Dota. Like, holy shit.
It takes a long time.
It's a slow burn lose for sure. Heroes of the Storm has 1,800 viewers right now. Dota has 21,000. League of Legends has 71,000. And you know what? I don't actually see Smite on this list right now. Smite is usually more than Heroes of the Storm. I think people are just riding the high right now of Heroes of the Dorm. So
probably.
So I think they have that going for them. Even Smite, man. Smite is actually really fun to watch because it's even more basic as a MOBA, but there's still skill and item builds and stuff. I think items are a huge draw as to people like to backseat game and they like to think of what they could do differently. The only time you can do things differently is when you can build stuff for each character differently. and you cannot do that in Heroes of the Storm. I think that's the long way of saying what.
Yeah.
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 Fun game to play. That, like, even when I stream it, like, my chat will go from, like, maybe 10 to 15 people all the way down to 2. Like, people don't like to watch that game, and it's understandable because I don't even watch the game if I'm not playing it. So I get it. But it's a hard sell for esports, I think, for me. I think it kind of detracts away from the quality of, like, real sportsmanship that could happen with gaming that are for games that are built specifically for that. But I'm kind of glad they did it, because any eyeballs at all onto esports, I am a big proponent of esports. I really like the idea, and I wanted to see it flourish here as it has in, like, Korea and China and stuff like that. And if Heroes of the Storm is a good way to get new people to maybe start thinking about video games as competitive wares or whatever, that's totally fine. I just don't think it will ever be a high-level game that will keep people's attention for esports.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I feel like a lot of the fighting game stuff that people played and got into is not like, or Tekken or Soul Calibur are not like the games that people are going to be playing at high level tournaments. There's different markets to be served, different games.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Even in the same genre.
Yep. Agreed. So, on that note, I've been playing Heroes of the Storm a little bit, and it's still fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Maybe that's the problem. Is that a video
They
game?
hooked me with their skins. I'm hooked.
Be honest, they hooked you when you started playing with people that weren't randoms.
It's true.
It helps. It helps win any video game. The reason I got hooked into Dota is because I had a full, like, 7 other people I could play with at any time if I wanted to. And then when they started going away, I was just like, oh, I think I might be done now.
Yeah, I would hop into the giant bomb chat room in Dota.
That's what I did
find
too.
people.
Yeah. I met some cool people playing that. I also met some pieces of shit. But I mean, that's a MOBA. There you go.
Yeah, it's so much better than... I mean, I was playing Dota when it was a Warcraft 3 custom map, and that was more often than not a nightmare.
Oh, you would have people just leave the game before it even starts?
Like,
it's like, oh, we lost.
Most games, you would have at least, like, one person leave.
Yeah.
Usually 2.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and it was like... It had, like, that... Like, this is such a, like, an underground... This is, like, a thing I've discovered, and, like... It was so, like, edge. It was, like, on the edge of gaming or whatever. It just felt like something new and different.
What did you think of LOL for that, like, 2 weeks we were playing it pretty regularly?
It's fine. Like, if I have people who want to play that, sure. I'm not ever going to play it on my own, though.
I don't think any
Mostly
of the characters are memorable to me, and that's a hard part to play. For a MOBA, you kind of...
That it doesn't hook me in any way that makes me want to go through the grind it takes to unlock characters and unlock stuff in your rune tree.
Yeah, well, the rune tree specifically, you have to play a lot before you even get stuff.
Yep.
So, and then from what I heard, it changes the game kind of too. Like, there's a way to actually build for your hero. It seems like they...
I mean, it's like old... I mean, it was modeled after old school talents in WoW. Like, that's what it looks like. That's what it was ripped off from.
Yeah. I really like that, by the way. I wish WoW never got rid of those talent trees.
I get why they did, but I loved fiddling with them.
Yep, I did too. I like to tinker with stuff like that in games and, like, respecking and stuff, so...
Yeah, it's not interesting anymore in WoW.
Yeah.
I get why they did it, but
yeah,
I miss it.
Final Little X is saying, I heard the best way to get into LoL is to play with friends and never play random. Does that bear any truth? That bears truth for any video game on the internet.
That is true of every multiplayer game.
Yeah, if you don't have friends to
simple.
teach you it,
No,
you will
no.
not have a good time learning it.
Except for the new Super Mario Brothers games. Don't play those with people if you want to like them.
Any Mario game, really, at all. Mario Tennis, Party. If you want to like your friends,
Well, I mean,
don't
Mario
play it.
Party is just a terrible, terrible thing. Mario
Yeah.
Tennis is fun.
No, I actually hate Mario Party games, so I agree with you.
They're boring.
That's
They're
why.
so boring.
That's why when they get brought up on Top Down, I'm just like, ugh. I'm so glad Sean and I share that opinion at least. I don't like those games.
They've never been fun.
There was
Ever.
one time I think I had fun with it with friends, and I'm pretty sure it was because of other activities that were going on that were not Mario Party at the time. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you that they were probably never fun.
They're never fun.
Probably.
Boring.
Makes a note to bring Mario Party when I go to Canada. Dude, I have Mario Party. I just won't play it.
You have to be really bored to. I have to be really bored to agree to Mario Party, and it's always a regret. It's a regret.
Like,
There's just better things you could be doing
That-
if you're with people.
I think that's the thing is that there was a time when they were okay, like Mario Party 1 specifically, because it was like we could play this when we take a break from GoldenEye, Bomberman 64, and what was the other one we played? Like Smash Bros. We played a little bit. None of my friends actually ever bought Smash Bros. We would just rent it when we were bored, basically, because you could rent video games at some point. It was weird. The old days.
It was weird. Then they switched to discs, and they were always scratched. It was annoying.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it was really bad. There was one place in my old town. It was called Game Dudes, which is why the channel Nathan and I started. It was called Game Dudes is because we both used to go there. They actually rented out. This is when burners became like a big thing. They rented out PC CDs. So
Nice.
that's how I got Half-Life the first time ever. I rented it for $5 and then I owned it.
Great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember someone like early PlayStation 2 did like there were some that were CDs before they switched over
Yeah. Yep.
to the other kind of discs. So I think you could burn Tekken Tag Tournament.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, I have a little gripe to talk about here in this.
Alright.
So, there was a time where I fancied myself a movie collector because I bought a lot of like DVDs. I'd watch them when I got home, then put them on my shelf and be like, okay, that's part of like the library of like I think 600 to 700 at the time. They're still in boxes somewhere. Who God knows
Yeah.
where. My friend worked at like a video store for a while, and he would just like when you work at a video store, or at least a video store he worked at, he got 10 free rentals a week, and then he would burn copies of these movies on his burner and say that he had a DVD collection. That is not okay, thank you. That's I mean that's not the way it works, because all of mine have, like, cases for one thing. Most of them have, like, a little pamphlet or something inside. They're all on the shelf. They're all alphabetical. I have them in an online, by online database, I mean a Google spreadsheet. Like, and you have a CD wallet, and on all these blank CDs, you basically wrote in marker what the movie on it is. That is not the same thing.
No, those are different things.
It would be the same, however, if he burned the CD, found a good like CD making like replica thing to like print a label on it and then make the case. I would still count that, because at least effort went into the actual product and not just stealing it from work, basically.
Yeah. Well, it'd be something that like
It's tangible.
looked nice. Yeah, just because the point of the collection is to have the thing that looks cool, and just like enjoy that. Like I have this thing.
Yeah, I can open this case and inside it is End of Days. I had to think quickly on my feet. I remember another friend used to like to do is rent movies with like a single scene that was a huge spoiler for the rest of the movie. And like when he was done watching the movie, he would rewind or fast forward to that scene and then like put it back in the VHS and like let someone rent it out. So for End of Days specifically, he like paused or stopped it right at the part where like when you turn it back on, Arnold's jumping onto the sword killing himself, like at the very end. So anybody who like just puts it in without rewinding it's just gonna see Arnold jump onto the sword and kill himself.
Nice.
Also, spoilers for End of Days.
That's some good pre-internet trolling.
Yep. Yep, there was some good stuff there. He was also the same friend that I went to his house one time, and he was really into Counter-Strike. He went it was like down to him and another dude. He went all the way around the level because he knew where he was holding up just to stab him in the back with a knife. It took him like 20 minutes to slowly creep around the level. He was a troll. He was the biggest troll, but that's why I don't talk to him anymore. Anyways. Yeah. Anyways, Heroes of the Storm is still good. Mario Party isn't. We've been playing GTA 5 a little bit.
Yeah, I put like 30 hours into that game.
You've been playing more than me then.
Mostly online. Because what I like it is just hop on and just drive around the city online. And occasionally fuck with people. And I set up a custom radio station, so I just listen to that and then just drive around. It's relaxing.
What I like doing in that game is going shopping.
You like to shop?
Yep. Go buy some new clothes and then walk around in the new clothes, shoot some people, and then do it all again.
Yep. It's good, low stress game.
Yeah.
You can try and make it high stress, but then I don't think it's fun.
No, I would definitely agree. It's not fun if you make it a high stress game. That game needs to play more like Arma, I still hold to, because I got used to Arma so well, I don't want to go back to basic bitch controls. I want to be able to hold Alt to turn my head.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just... Like, the more I play it, the less interested I am in doing the kind of Arma stuff that you sort of can do in it, and just doing simpler stuff. It's just like I'm doing a couple mechanic things that I like, and I'm just sort of zoning out and going zen with it.
Yeah.
It's the way I'm more enjoying it. Cool. And there's that sort of like just doing something by yourself in public thing of playing the online as opposed to single player. That I don't know why it appeals to me, but it does in that game.
Yeah. I know that like a bunch of you have been going way harder in it than I have, but every time I go into it, I usually have a good time until we play too long. And then I'm just like, I need to do something else. I can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
too often when we're playing together, we're like setting objectives and doing it. Yeah. And then getting separated for too long.
Yeah.
Getting into fights with people, and it gets brought down. Also, the heists aren't that good. They have a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a shitty GTA. This is what I don't like about GTA games, is that their missions never feel very good, for the most part. Yeah. Some of them do, but not any of the ones you can do online.
Yeah, I hate that prison thing. It's like, yeah, sneak in costume. Nope, you have to shoot your way out.
And the shooting's not good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then you have to shoot a lot of dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. I don't know if I recommend that game for the price, really. Unless you like GTA, in which case you bought it, so you don't need my recommendation. Like, if you like GTA, it is that with people everywhere, which is totally fine if that's what you're looking for. That's kind of what I was looking for. What I wasn't looking for is that for a while there, it seemed like the only thing we ever did was try to do, like, the game stuff, when I would rather just fuck around, basically. Like, shoot some random dude and then drive away laughing or something. Like,
Yeah, and yeah, it's harder to maintain that when you get a big group.
yeah.
You get split up too easily.
On the other side, I would love to be in such a big group where we could just control the city, basically. Just have like 20 people.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but we
I
would
also
need
like
a lot
the
more people.
the more ridiculous vehicle stuff is too expensive.
Yeah, and they're locked behind like progression. Some stuff. I don't know. I think that should have just been an open sandbox, basically. It shouldn't have been like trying to be the video game online, if you know what I mean.
Also, other like challenge mode stuff sucks.
Yeah.
Like where you're put into like a deathmatch situation. They put a lot of work into that, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
Playing the game that way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. You have Crypt of the NecroDancer on here.
Yeah,
Does that mean you played it?
I played like an hour of it.
It's so good,
I
right?
I unlocked Zone 2.
Nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's that
What
music.
I love about the music is so good. The music is so good. Danny B,
Danny B, he's too good.
it's too good. So what I really like about this game is how I'm like constantly engaged with it when I'm playing. Like
What
when
do you
I'm
mean?
playing a game, what that I'm always have to be that you always have to stay on the beat. Like that I'm always moving. I'm
It's not a
always
podcast game. Yeah.
No, like
Yeah.
I'm always like I'm my attention is fully in this video game because the music is great. I'm constantly doing stuff. I'm constantly thinking about item stuff and positioning in the level. Like it's fully engaging me, which is what I want from single player video games a lot of the time.
I totally agree with you. Especially like it's kind of weird too because that could have been the like death note for it as well too though, right? Is that if the music wasn't good and if it didn't play good, having to focus on it the whole time would have like been terrible. It would be so bad.
Video games that demand my attention but don't earn it, I fucking hate.
There's a lot of those though.
Yes, they frustrate me.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
This one earns my attention and it uses it.
Unless you're trying to speed run it, as we saw.
That was bullshit.
That was such bullshit. Like, holy crap. So, for anybody that wasn't there to watch it or doesn't know, there's a thing you can do. So, there's speedrun, blah, 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 to get to the end, like, fastest. There's a thing you can do where if you just miss enough beats, you'll get thrown down to the next level. So
you're just fucking up as much as possible on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, one thing you do to get a lot of items really early on.
You kill
then
the
you're
shopkeeper.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of RNG in there where the shopkeeper has to have basically, like, decent armor and a good weapon, or you have to find a good weapon, because every time you do fail a level, you have to do, like, a mini boss room fight or whatever, which are negligible if you know how to play the game, because the bosses are the basic-ass bitch bosses that have the same pattern all the time. So as long as you have a decent weapon or can take some damage if you fuck up or whatever, you can just basically hit the wall over and over with your shovel until you pass and then win the speed run. If you want to do a high score run, however, you have to know how to play that fucking game. It's really impressive. Like,
yeah, because like the hard part of that game is like playing it and maintaining the beat, so your coin multiplier keeps going up.
Yeah,
which I still have trouble with.
Oh god,
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard game. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. Also, like
I keep getting crossbow weapons in my runs.
Weird.
Those are tricky to use.
I've never gotten one.
So the crossbow, it has 3 shots.
Okay.
And then you have to reload it.
Weird. Okay.
By pressing up and down at the same time, reloads it.
So this is another problem I have with the
attacks.
game, and it's not the game's fault. It's my own stupidity. I find it really hard to push 2 buttons at the same time on beat.
Yeah. So the run that I had that I beat the first zone in, I also got the item that lets you don't lose your beat if you're standing still. They're
Oh,
like ballerina shoes. So I had
okay.
that and a magical crossbow,
Nice.
and I wrecked into getting to the next zone.
Nice.
Unlocked. So that was cool.
And watching the high score guy blow up the gold walls around the shops and stuff for money, kind of
Oh my
like,
god.
it broke
Blowing up
my
the gold
mind.
walls for money is such a good thing to do early on to get a bunch of items.
It,
Like, even if you're not doing that.
dude, I didn't even know you could do that. Like, I didn't even think about it. It broke my
Yeah.
fucking mind in the way that I learned you could ghost gems in Spelunky. Like, when I first
Mm.
saw people do that for more, like, points or whatever, more money,
Hmm.
it broke my fucking world apart. That's just exactly what happened when I saw him do that. I was like, holy shit, there's a way to do stuff in this game. They thought about stuff. And it sucks killing the shopkeeper because then you no longer hear him singing, which is arguably one of the best things about the shopkeeper.
Yeah, those. I mean, the tracks with the. I've just been also in my spare time now listening to the tracks with the shopkeeper voice
Like on YouTube
on
or
YouTube.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause, damn that voice, they did so good.
Yeah. The
Weird
weird, like,
distortions.
Vocaloid voice, basically.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
good.
so good.
That game is totally worth any money they want for it, basically. Under $20. Anyway, over
Yeah,
$20
I think it's
would be
on. I
much.
think it's on sale right now. It's like 11 or something.
It
right now.
is totally worth $11.
Yep.
That game is really good. I highly recommend it. What I don't necessarily recommend too much is Killing Floor 2.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet.
Yeah.
Not enough in it.
Yeah. So basically Killing Floor 2 is out on early access because we haven't been here for 2 weeks. I figure we should probably like try to catch up a little bit. It's been out on
Mhm.
early access for a little bit now. If you saw any footage of the beta, it is literally exactly what was available in the beta, which are the 4 classes of Support, Commando, Field Medic, and Berserker. There are 3 maps. There's the Biotics Lab, Paris, the Burning Down Paris, and what the hell is the other one called? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either. So there's the 3 maps, like a handful of guns for each perk, a bunch of guns that aren't in yet, obviously, even though, like, that's what was confusing me when Spart was like, I can't buy a rifle or whatever. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm looking at 5 of them right now. And then I saw, oh,
Mhm.
there's actually a tab for just rifles, which are not in the game yet. So that's what he was talking
Yep.
about. That game is probably going to be great. Killing Floor 1 is one of my most played games on Steam, period. I have, like, I think 100 some hours in it. This will easily top that, but there
Mhm.
needs to be more in there. There really needs to be more in there. There needs to be all of the classes. There needs to be more than one boss, which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That boss
Like, even if there
is
were
shitty.
at least 3, like there's at least one for every level, it would make a huge difference.
Well,
But
they're
you're
bringing
fighting
back
that
the
same-
Patriarch, right?
I mean, I don't know that much about the first game.
Okay. The Patriarch was basically a dude with a rocket launcher and a Gatling gun that would cloak when he was in danger of dying and run away and go heal and then come back to attack you again. So he was almost like a boss that you fought in 3 waves, because once you did enough damage, he would run away from you, and then like a bunch of dudes would spawn, you'd clear the wave, and he would come back in the midst of that chaos. So
That's cool.
I'm guessing they're probably going to bring him back because he was kind of like the poster child. He was the boss for the other one. And then I don't know what else they do. Maybe some like fat boss that spits at you or something. Every game seems to do a fat boss that spits acid or goo at you. So
Yeah.
whatever.
They have those goo effects.
Yep. From the biles.
Yeah. It's just so weird because I'm enjoying slaughtering zombies, and stuff, and then there's a boss, and I'm like, this takes so long, and we all die.
It's too bad
We
too
all die.
because the boss was fine. Like the patriarch was fine in killing floor 1 because
Hmm.
he was still hard to kill if you guys didn't know what you were doing, but he
Yeah.
was killable because you had just spent 9 or 10 waves gaining money and weaponry to take him on, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like if you jumped in on wave 7 or something and you didn't have enough money for certain items that worked well against the patriarch, you would be fucked. Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
win, you would die. But if you were there the whole time, you lay down a few pipe bombs, like lure him into them, and he'd be like, oh, and then he'd run away right away. So one phase is already done from a pipe bomb. And then, like, he'd come back, you'd maybe shoot a few crossbow arrows into him, which do high damage. And, like, the shotgun guy unloads his shotgun, he would go away. Like, it felt like you were still a badass. Like, you spent this whole time to get to the point where you can take on anything, and you can. Whereas
Yeah.
this game kind of does the opposite, where it feels like you wasted your whole time because this guy's just going to take all your ammo and then kill you anyway.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what guns I should have by the end because it feels like they all suck.
Yeah,
Like
especially
I
as
have
a
the
berserker.
Eviscerator, I'm holding it on him, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. With the Eviscerator, because there are some weapons, specifically just shotguns, where
Yeah.
when he runs at you, if you shoot him with like a few shotgun blasts, he'll be like, oh, or whatever, and back off a little bit. The Eviscerator doesn't have anything like that, right?
No.
Because it is a sustained damage, it isn't a burst damage weapon.
Yeah.
That's too bad. They really need to do something where, like, as you're cutting him, maybe he starts bleeding profusely and, like, grabbing his chest or something, like, just to show that you're fucking him up a little bit. As
Yeah.
it stands,
I mean, just showing that I'm doing something.
he is the only enemy in the game that doesn't have, like, tactile feedback for your damage against him. All the other ones, when you shoot them in the leg, they, like, flinch a little bit at least, right? Even if it's with a pistol, or they're at best their heads explode and you feel great, even though their bodies are still running at you and trying to slice you up, and then they fall over limp after. He
And
is the only character that when you shoot him, nothing. It just looks like they're bouncing off him almost.
Yeah, and it's so weird because I've heard the developers talk about like their philosophies, and that boss breaks all of them. Like
Yeah.
not having tactile feedback, being a bullet sponge.
Yep.
Like they talked about how important all these things were. Ugh, I don't. It's really frustrating that you have to do it every time you're playing a run.
Yeah, no, it's it takes the wind out of your sails. I think
Yes.
that's the best way to put it, is that you feel great when you jump in for the first time, or even the first time during the session, and then after the first time you fight him, you feel shitty, but you're still kind of like, I think we can actually get him next time. He was at red. I felt like maybe we just fucked up and stood in the gas too long. The second time, same thing happens. You feel more disheartened. By the third time, you're like, fuck this, and then you put it down. Like, it's disheartening.
You've done all 3 maps.
Yep.
That's it.
That's pretty
No
much
more.
it. Yeah, you played for an
And you don't-
hour, you're done.
And you don't feel great about it at the end.
No, you don't. It leaves a
problem.
bad taste in your mouth. Even if the boss started off on wave 1 and after you completed him, all the other cool stuff that you're destroying, or like wave 10 is that kind of where it should end if they can't get bosses right, because clearing out like 160 badass things that are like covering you, jumping out of everywhere, and you're like, yeah, we're a team, and your kind of backs are up against each other, shooting everything that's coming at you, and you end up victorious somehow.
Yeah.
That feels great. And then you go to the
Yeah, if
boss
they're
and you die.
Yeah. it sucks. If they're gonna keep the bosses, like they talked about, all the enemies have the same health no matter what the difficulty.
Yeah.
If they're gonna do that with bosses, don't put bosses on the lower difficulty. Like
Agreed.
we're playing on normal. Like we don't have any perks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe when we all reach level 5 and get like a basic ass perk for our classes, maybe it'll feel way better and the boss will just drop. I kind of doubt it, but maybe that's it. I don't know. Either way, it's bad boss design. It is great game design up until then, and all the things that feel good about the game are depleted at that very moment because the guns no longer feel like they're doing any damage. You're not getting any response from the enemy. In return, it makes the shooting feel weak and lame. Like, no matter how you move, you always seem to get hit with a gas cloud or something. Like, he predicts almost where you're going to go.
And he's chasing after you, and he runs faster than you.
He runs faster than you. The movement doesn't feel good. You can kind of deke him out depending where you are in the level by jumping over stuff and, like, jumping onto another floor or something. It basically becomes he's chasing you, and you're going to lose. And it ruins everything that feels great about that game up until that point.
Going to barely win. Like,
barely winning feels like a lose to me still.
Sure. Yep.
It still doesn't feel like you did it.
Because the only times I beat him, it's like one person's left alive, and they managed to kite him long enough that he goes down.
One of the best memories, some of the best memories in Killing Floor 1 are the last, like, his last wave or whatever. The boss is in the middle, and all 6 of you are kind of surrounding him, just fucking blasting him, and he just goes down. And then it says, like, you survived or whatever, and everybody just starts saying, like, money here, and throwing their money into a giant pile in the middle for no reason. Like, that is some of the best gameplay I've ever played in a fucking video game, and they took it out just to make a little bit of a challenge? Like, fuck you. You ruined what was good about that boss fight by putting in exactly what you said you didn't want to put in.
Yeah. Hopefully they fix it.
I could see if, like, the boss wins because you're split up around the level or whatever, or one guy runs off and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get you, and then he kills that one dude and systematically takes you out. That's totally fair. And actually, that's kind of cool, really, for a boss to, like, single out one person who's far away and just rip them apart or something.
Yeah, but we've been together.
When we're together and all firing at him, he should go down at least on a knee and just be like, oh, or whatever. So it feels a little good, you know? Like, there has to be something there to make you feel like you're doing a good job, but there's literally nothing. Even when he's hurt, he just comes at you. Like, it's dumb.
Yeah, like his health drains so slowly that his color changes takes too long to feel good. You don't have any idea how much damage you're personally doing to him. Like, you're getting not enough feedback at all.
Yeah. Other than that, if they fix that game will be pretty great. Honestly, it will.
Yeah,
be.
it shoots real good. You shoot those zombies, it's fun.
Dude, you shoot those fucking zombies, and it feels real good.
Or I hit them with a fucking hammer and it explodes.
Yeah.
That also feels pretty good.
Yeah. Or, like, cutting off their head or something with a katana or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That all feels good. It's just that boss.
That boss ruins all the goodwill. Instantly, almost, too. When he comes on the screen, you're just like, oh, we lost. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotten to that point. I'm just like,
So, I don't know if I'll be playing too much more of it. The thing is, they have the carrot on the stick, too, with the perk system and leveling up. So I feel inclined to play more of it just to level up my characters before they start releasing more so I can keep ahead of it. But that boss is so bad, it actually wants me to, like, it makes me not want to play their video game, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. That's a terrible way to do your game.
Yeah.
Other than that, I see you've been playing Heroes and Generals.
Played a little bit of this. So this is a World War II shooter made by the guys who made Hitman.
Okay.
What really the only reason I played this and what makes it appeal is the maps have respawning bicycles you can hop on.
Nice.
At the beginning. So you're just riding around on a bike.
Okay.
That was really it. It has, like, this persistent, like, meta game combat thing of wars, and there are, like, 3 factions. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really get into any of that. I just wanted to ride that bicycle.
Bicycle.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Well, on that note of games we've barely been playing that are kind of cool, Mortal Kombat X, I've been playing a little bit of, and I've been actually, So the reason I bought this game is because, first of all, I heard it was broken as shit the first day it came out on PC. I was a little bit skeptical. Then I heard the problems were fixed, so I was like, okay. I went to YouTube. I looked up all of the fatalities. I watched a video with all of their fatalities, and then I'm like, yeah, now I'm buying it. So I bought it right after that, played a little bit of it, and that game plays exactly like Mortal Kombat 9. That came out on Xbox 360 and PS3, which is totally fine, except for there's new characters in it that I don't know at all yet, so I always feel less inclined to learn a brand new character as opposed to a character I know already plays, so I play Scorpion now, basically. That's become my dude, even though before it was Smoke, but Smoke no longer exists in this game.
That's so weird to me. They pulled Smoke out for this one.
Well, it's even weirder. He does exist in this game's story and as an NPC in the background. He does not exist as a playable character.
I think he also exists in a faction fatality.
Maybe, but you'd have to play the single player for that because that's the only time you fight him.
No. When the faction fatality thing is like if you're a part of a faction and it's winning in the metagame thing, there's a special fatality you can do associated with that.
Oh, you mean like he has a fatality? A faction fatality?
No. So I don't know which faction it is, but one of the faction fatalities involves Smoke showing up to kill them.
Oh, yeah, no, but he's still an NPC. Like, you don't play as him. He doesn't have a fatality. He is part of one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
he
exactly
was like
right.
the character I heard everyone played in that game.
And he still is. Like, he is my favorite character, or was.
Yep.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That game still plays fine, though.
Yeah, but remember when fighting games used to, like, get iterative and better, as opposed to just sort of feeling the same?
No.
I do. It's like the PlayStation era.
No, you're only talking about Tekken.
I am only talking about Tekken. No, Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter did that.
Street Fighter 2 was the exact same.
There's Street Fighter 2, then there's Street Fighter 3.
Yeah, but Street Fighter 3 is not Street Fighter 2. Because you said Street Fighter 2, and it's like, no, Street Fighter 2 was just Street Fighter 2. It was iterative. Actually, you know what? I'm still wrong, because Street Fighter 2 was so iterative of one that it brought up a whole new genre of fighting games. So, because one was just an arcade game that was...
It was shitty.
Yeah.
That was like... Throwing fireballs was like a myth, because the controls were so bad that it was really hard to do.
It was single player, too, if I remember. Like, you played as Ryu.
Yeah.
The very first one on arcade. I'm pretty sure it was just basically Ryu's quest.
That sounds possible.
And
I just remember when they released it for the TurboGrafx as like Fighter Street.
Nice. They had that Street Fighter the movie, and that had Street Fighter the movie the game.
That's true.
Now I'm just waiting for Street Fighter the movie the game the movie, just to keep it going. That would be great.
Where's our fighting game based on that shitty Chun-Li movie?
I watched that movie. I didn't hate it. It wasn't good, though.
I never watched it.
It wasn't good. You don't have to. They made M. Bison a businessman.
Weird.
Like a career criminal businessman sort of thing. It was dumb. It was almost as dumb as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles making the Shredder basically a mugger. He just stole money from grannies and TVs and stuff. His minions, he just sent out. Everybody steal just random shit. Chaos. It's like, that's not how you be a villain, man. You're a petty thug with a bunch of kids in your warehouse. Like, it's so dumb.
It's the 80s, man. It's all about having an army of children.
It was a different time then. I'm glad it's over. Yeah.
I really don't care about the story in Street Fighter at all, though.
There barely is one, really.
I remember in Street Fighter 4 I played as Abel, and his story mode was like the worst thing. It just made me mad because it was like he had amnesia and nothing was resolved from any of it. It was so like, it was infuriating. It's
You're
like you
right.
could come up with something amazing and dumb, but nope, you just amnesia. This guy fights only with like his elbows and knees.
You're right. That sounds terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to what Mortal Kombat did with Mortal Kombat 9, I really like how they kind of finagled an actual storyline in there, and they continue it in 10, which is pretty great too. And everybody's story in Tekken was fucking fantastic. Like, all those endings were so good. So
Yes.
even some of the regular, like, Street Fighter 2 endings were pretty good. For basically just being a picture with text underneath saying Guile went home. Like, it felt like there was a finality though. Like, he won. So
Yep.
yeah.
It gave you a little something. That little bit of catharsis.
Yeah. Go home and be a family man. That's exactly what he did. So dumb. What a dumb game. All right. I think that does it for video games. I haven't really been playing any. I jumped back into WoW a little bit, and then I realized, yo, garrisons. I gotta do this daily, so I've basically been mining in my garrison and sending out my dudes every day. But that's it.
Right. I haven't logged into WoW in a while.
Spart's been going ham, man. Every time I go on to Battle.net now to see like if anybody's doing anything, it says he's in WoW. So
I should make that 90 Hunter on Alliance and play that.
we could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I still have my 90 Druid. And then I
Alright.
think Spart has a 90 something, but who cares? Because, like,
Yeah.
he has two 90s now. He has the free 90 and his Death Knight. And I think he said another one, which is crazy to me. Like, if we want to talk about Ben going too hard in a video game, yo, Spart has to calm down.
It's true. Look, I'm aware. If you're going too hard in WoW, you should probably calm down. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't lead to good things.
And, like, this message is specifically for Spart. That I can, like, take it from experience. That game's not going anywhere. It will be there for you in 20 years if you want to level up that dude you thought you never got to. Because that's basically how I've spent the last 10 years of my life is, oh yeah, WoW exists, resub, let's play the mage for 10 levels. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So
But it'll be all different. I'll change all the spells again.
you're not wrong, actually. When I came back to WoW, I didn't know how to play my paladin. I had to look up a YouTube video of the changes. When the last time I had played it, their holy power wasn't a thing. Like, they had changed my class so much, I didn't know how to play it.
Huh.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. It's kind of fucking crazy what they did with it. It won't change very much now, but
Yeah, probably not.
yeah.
They simplified the hell out of it already.
Which is hilarious because it was already a simplified MMO to begin with when it was a hard MMO.
It's true.
Yep.
God. You still need to try EverQuest sometime.
I would probably like to at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks like you've been watching some movies, so we can talk about movies now.
Yep. I saw some movies. I'll talk about the two movies I saw in theaters first.
Yeah, okay.
So I saw this movie called White God. Which
Yeah.
I wrote up a review for it today for the
So
site.
that's a movie about the Ku Klux Klan.
Nope.
Oh, right.
This is the movie where I found out I read a review that's called it R-rated Lassie by way of SparDOGcus.
Cool. That sounds great.
So basically it's a Hungarian movie. It's in Hungarian with subtitles. It's about a 13-year-old girl and her dog get basically stuck to live with her parents are divorced and her mom is going with her boyfriend to some conference and like drops her off with her dad for like 3 months. She's going to be living with him.
Okay.
There's this weird thing with like people hate mixed breed dogs. Like everyone
Okay.
who sees her dog fucking hates it.
Okay.
And like her dad gets threatened with this mongrel tax. He doesn't get rid of the dog. The dogs aren't allowed in his building. And eventually, eventually it winds up, she's really adamant about not bringing the dog to a shelter because it'll be put down. So they end up like leaving the dog at the side of the road and driving off. And she plans to go find the dog later. So then the movie splits, and it's like half the time you're following the dog on his adventures as he like meets a stray dog and like becomes friends, and the stray dog like teaches him the ways of street dogs. Like they find a good watering hole, and then they run away from the dog catcher stuff while the girl is like looking for him, while also like having teenage angst, rebellion stuff.
In other words, teenage sex.
No, she's only 13.
That. Anyways, I'm not going to comment on that.
She
Holy
wants
shit.
to bone this guy, but he's not that into her.
Well, yeah, because she's 13.
Also, he has a girlfriend who's older, so.
I think the 13-year-old thing is more of a deterrent, honestly.
Probably.
Yeah.
He still gives her a little too much attention, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like at one point, she wants to go to a club with him as he's buying drugs. So he just has her hold his drugs when they go in, and then he ditches her to hang out with his girlfriend, and then she gets drunk and passes out, and then gets like woken up by the cops breaking it up at the end.
Nice.
So while that stuff is happening, the dog gets captured and sold into a dog fighting ring and gets like tortured and trained to be a fighter.
Right.
Eventually like fighting in a dog fighting game and like killing this other dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then the power goes out and he escapes again. And then he gets caught in the shelter again. And then the movie turns and he kills his first human.
His first human.
And then frees all the stray dogs at the shelter, and the dog revolution happens.
So it's Rise of the Planet of the Apes for dogs.
Yes.
That sounds great.
And then there's a part where the dogs go around like slasher villains, killing off all the people that were mean to him up to this point in the movie.
Does he ever meet up with the girl, or do you not want to spoil that?
That's the end of the movie. I won't spoil that part.
Okay.
But the thing is, it takes a long time to get to that turning point where the movie suddenly becomes completely amazing, and it's kind of slow up to then.
Mm.
The acting isn't great. The script isn't great. But that turn, like you're getting like police officers and SWATs firing, like forming lines and firing at like a wave of dogs running at them.
All right.
It's fucking incredible. And the scene where like a guy walks out and all the dogs like sneak into his apartment and are hiding until he walks back in, and then he realizes they're there and they rip him to shreds. Like that's great. It's fucking amazing.
Did you know God spelled backwards is dog?
Oh shit!
I take it you knew.
I mean, this
don't have to
this
be
title
a dick
is
about
in
it.
this title is in Hungarian. This is like translated from Hungarian, so it's not that pun doesn't work. I don't think.
Okay.
Unless whatever it is in Hungarian is God and dog backwards, which I doubt.
What's Hungarian backwards?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how to read backwards. It's my secret shame.
Nagner? Nagnara?
Nagnara.
Weird.
That sounds like a WoW boss.
It does. You just gotta add os to it. Nagnaros.
Nagnaros.
Ragnaros's wife.
Too good. It's too good.
Oh, damn it. How is Ex Machina?
Ex Machina was interesting. My biggest problem with it is that the characters end up... It's a movie that's trying to be like thoughtful science fiction, but the two characters basically by the end are just dumb. Like it's about doing a Turing test to prove AI is real. Mostly it's like humans are too stupid to do Turing tests properly. You guys suck. But it was a fun ride while I was watching it.
Okay. We're seeing?
If you're into thoughtful,
Okay,
sort of slow sci-fi, it's mostly talking.
You had me back a little bit at sci-fi.
Yeah. It's about, I mean, it is about a guy who's building sex bots.
Yeah, I'll go see it right away then.
It's played by, and the guy who made them is played by Oscar Isaac, who is in Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's sort of weird. Like, he's this super scientist who's created AI, but all he really does is drink and exercise.
Yeah, it sounds like my life over here as well. Drinking that Diet Coke.
Build sex bots.
That's what I aspire to be, so I should probably see this as a manual for life, basically.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I felt about it after I saw it. I'm still digesting that one.
When did you see it?
Today.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right.
So I watched some other movies.
Mm-hmm.
So first I'll talk about The Adventures of Chris Fable.
I don't know what this is.
It's a Christian movie marketed as knockoff Harry Potter, even though it's
Oh, wow.
not at all.
Oh, wow, you weren't kidding. That looks exactly like Harry Potter.
Yeah, this is a joke gift a friend got for me, so then we had to watch it.
Was it great?
It was not quite as terrible as I thought it would be.
Does he go to a Christian school and find out that he is Jesus?
No, it's based on...
You're Jesus, Chris.
It's based on the Pilgrim's Progress, actually.
Okay.
It's sort of it's like adapting a parable into sci-fi post-apocalyptic stuff,
Okay.
but it doesn't understand the parable, really.
Okay.
Like, it's really dumb about it.
Weird.
And it's mostly terrible, but it has some like great giant robot shitty special effects, which are way better than you would expect from this kind of movie.
Huh.
And the end villain is amusingly over the top.
Cool.
Mostly it's a bad movie. Mostly it's a bad movie though.
Okay. Is the end boss God?
No, he's the devil.
He who shall not be named?
The end boss is the devil.
He with a capital H?
He's like running the Matrix.
Yeah, that sounds like what the devil does.
People are in hamster wheels.
So he is the architect?
Sort of.
All right. This got too real.
He also pilots a giant robot, so the architect never did that. So clearly he's better. Better than the architect.
Right, so he is from, what's it called then? I forgot what that movie's called, so the joke's over. So what's the next movie?
Next movie I watched is 0 Hour.
Okay, I don't know what this is either.
This is the movie that Airplane is, like, making fun of, basically.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like, the writers who wrote Airplane watched 0 Hour, and they were like, oh my god, this movie is amazing. We need to make... Like, they wanted to buy the script for 0 Hour to then, like, adapt it, steal lines from it as setups for jokes, and then they realized that the studio they were working for already owned that movie, so they didn't even have to go out and buy it.
Nice.
So there are lines of dialogue from Airplane that are pulled directly from this scene, and then there's like a joke tacked on the end in Airplane. Like the whole plot of there's the fish was poisoned, so like a large population of the plane gets sick. Like that's the plot of 0 Hour.
Great. Sure, sign me up.
One of the co-pilots was an actual football star, which is why in Airplane the co-pilot is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay.
Like, there's weird in-jokes that make in Airplane that make more sense once you've seen Zero Hour. There's also a bunch of stuff in Zero Hour that was too weird for them to put into Airplane.
Like what?
Like, this one character has a sock puppet
Okay.
that uses. It's really creepy.
Okay.
It's just like, you can't make it funny because it's just too. You can't make it funnier than it is in its original context. Like, if you're actually putting in a comedy, it wouldn't work at all. Because it's in this drama, it's hilarious.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So kind of like The Matrix.
Exactly like The Matrix, yes.
Right. Okay.
So if to anyone who's a big fan of Airplane, highly recommend Zero Hour.
Which is why you watched Airplane.
Yeah, so after we watched Zero Hour, we're like, man, we should just watch Airplane. I'm like, yeah, let's watch Airplane. That was funny.
Mm-hmm. Can I confess something? Never seen it.
It's a funny movie.
Okay.
It's a good comedy. Recommend
Would it be funnier to me since I work at an airport?
Probably. They mentioned it's Canadian airline too.
Which one?
I don't remember. I do remember them saying that there was some reason they couldn't land at Calgary. They have to fly straight to Vancouver. Yes.
From where?
This is part of this movie. I forget from where.
Was it overseas?
No, it was somewhere else in Canada, I think.
Was it Toronto?
I don't remember. I don't remember where they start.
Because you can totally fly straight to Vancouver from Toronto. That's not a problem, as long as you fill up the right amount of gas.
There was some fog was keeping them from doing it.
That doesn't sound like Calgary. We don't get foggy.
Ottawa.
Oh, from Ottawa. Ew. Gross.
Trans-Canadian Airlines.
That they don't exist
Okay.
anymore.
I mean, this was a movie from 1957.
Yeah, fine. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But, like, the main character has the same name as the main character from Airplane. Like,
Okay.
They ripped that movie out and made a comedy out of it. It's kind of amazing because no one ever talks about Zero Hour. They just talk about Airplane as a really good comedy.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Was that everything?
For movies, yeah. Yep, that was it.
Cool. Do you want to talk some anime?
I could talk a couple things. The things that I'm like actually watching.
Yeah, so probably a good segue. You actually talked with Ty. Well, I mean, we know him just as Ty, but like from Spaghetti Cast, for an hour and a half, basically, about anime on your new thing that you're doing, Off the Tracks.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we watched like the first episodes of, or a couple more of all the new anime out this season,
Right.
and then talked about them.
How did
So I
that
was
go?
watching a lot of terrible anime. But compared to other times I've just checked out first episodes, like I found more things that weren't objectively terrible than usual.
Okay.
So that was cool.
So it was a success then.
And it was fun talking about them anyway. Like, even if it had all been garbage, it's fun to talk about. And
Well,
it's 'cause
with
I
somebody who knows anime, though.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like someone who'd also watched all of them and has a wide, has seen a lot of shows too, so they have proper context for that stuff.
Right.
So it was fun. And
Will
it
you
was
be continuing that weekly thing?
It's not weekly because
Oh.
we're gonna do a couple updates, like when there's more show stuff to talk about, like
Oh, okay.
chunks of episodes.
So it's not like a new regular thing, but a new, like, for people that actually maybe want to know, like, some opinions on anime that's relevant right now, sort of thing?
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool.
So then we plan on doing like an update, and we're not sure about an update, but for sure we're gonna do like a recap at the end of the season.
Okay, when's the end of the season?
Yeah, I'm not. It's like seasonal, so like probably end of spring or something. I don't remember.
Okay,
They
so
like
like a month or two.
yeah, something.
Okay, cool. But that, like, I listened to it. I have no opinions on anything you guys said because I didn't understand what the fuck you were talking about. But it sounded like you two had fun, so there's that.
Yeah. Yep.
That
So the
food wars or whatever sounds great.
yeah, that's what I want to talk about a bit
Okay.
because it's basically like a show that decided. So we're gonna tell like a shonen, like a show like Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or that kind of format,
Yeah.
but it's all about cooking.
Okay.
But also, when people try the food, we're gonna represent it with them being like having a sexual encounter.
Nice. Okay. So they get fucked by sushi?
Yeah, so one of the things he makes these he's a really good cook, but he picked up from his father. He also likes to make experiments that are horrible.
Okay.
So like he forces people in the early episode he forces this girl to eat this squid covered in something. I forget.
Okay.
He keeps covering it in different stuff. And so then it represents that by her being raped by a squid.
So it's hentai.
Well, no, because it's not
What you're
actually
saying
showing
is
penetration.
you've been watching Bible Black, is what you're saying.
Nope.
A whole lot of it.
So there's another moment where this girl tries the thing, and then it's like she's in a nice sauna and she's feeling all good, and then she realizes there's a gorilla in it with her because
Why?
there was like a bad taste that worked its way in. It was like the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Weird. Okay.
It's just representing it in. It's just going completely over the top with visual representations of what it's trying to get across.
That sounds great.
So it's very silly. So it's
Yeah.
super dumb, but it's just fun.
Cool. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I might actually check that out because it sounds like a type of stupid I could get behind.
Yep.
So you've been watching more of that then. Like that's one you are actually going to watch all of.
Yep. I'm watching that every week.
Nice. Are you watching it with your friend you watch anime with?
Yep.
What does he think of it?
Same thing as me.
Yeah.
Find it really funny.
Nice. Well, that's good. Anything else out of that? Watching the first episode of everything?
There was like the only other thing was like that I've really been liking. Okay, it's Rinne, which is just mostly very generic, except the main character is all interested in money.
Okay.
And he's like all his powers he has to like he's only half of like the Shin Megami thing he is. Like he doesn't actually have the magical powers he should have, so he has to like buy all his equipment,
Okay.
but it's all for very small amounts of money. So the teenage girl that like helps him can just give him a coin and he thinks it's fucking incredible.
Like, how much? Few cents or something?
Yeah, like just a small amount of yen. Like basically the change out of her pocket.
That's
And he
pretty
can buy a
great.
thing. Yeah. So he's like totally obsessed with money and getting like having people give offerings to his thing so that he'll go help them out. Very mercenary that way.
Huh. Weird.
So it's like just enough of a hook to keep me watching it.
Yeah.
Like if I had other stuff going on, I could drop it easily and not think about it. But keeping up with a show every week, it's cool.
Yeah. It's not something you would like binge watch like 20 episodes of though.
No. It's not a binge watch.
Gotcha.
It's too episodic and formulaic to be a binge watch. It's a once a week thing.
Gotcha. Cool.
And the other thing I've been watching is season 2 of the show Baby Steps, which is tennis anime.
All right. That sounds
Which is
boring.
Surprisingly excellent.
Okay.
It has a good main romance that plays it out just slowly without any bullshit getting in the way. Like it doesn't have like misunderstandings or these two just like they're taking it slow. Which the name of the show, Baby Steps.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also like it takes that approach to him learning tennis. Like there's like the whole episode of like him learning the backhands. Like he's all about it's the gimmick is he's a studious note taker, like honor student who because of this girl starts like learns a love of tennis. And like his whole way he gets good at tennis is by taking lots of notes
Okay.
and being analytical about everything.
Cool.
So it works for the format of shonen anime with like tournament stuff.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yep. I enjoy that. It's
Nice.
not great, but it's enjoyable. I like it.
As usual, I have not been watching anime, so unless you count the Ruby Spears Mega Man cartoon, in which case I've been watching a decent
Right.
amount.
That thing is great.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, so for anybody who may not have seen it, I actually streamed watching it basically on Ustream, and surprisingly wasn't kicked off by a random like copyright bot that trolls around. So
Ustream doesn't give a fuck.
apparently they don't give a fuck. So I'm pretty sure the next disc I will do the same way. Like we'll just watch a few episodes or something. But that show is dumb in the best possible 90s way ever.
It's so like snappy. Like stuff is always happening.
There's always something happening. There's always a different robot master in every episode too.
Yeah, and they get like there's no like setting up of like drama stuff. It's just action, 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 action.
Yeah.
And then President Lincoln.
Oh my God, President
It's the
Lincoln.
fucking greatest thing.
I saw that
President
you
Lincoln!
found the YouTube clip of
Yeah.
it too. So somebody else thought it was good enough to upload.
Well, yeah, it's the greatest thing.
I don't know, man. Fucking Robot Jurassic Park was pretty good too. Some of the shit in that.
It's true.
The acid rain that was just dealt with immediately. Like,
That's how rain works.
also, his titanium armor seems to like be made really well or something because he's been in a few acid baths a few times now and nothing's happened to him at all. No corrosion or anything. So
I know he was totally drenched in it, but also
Yeah.
the walls weren't made of titanium. They were only made of steel, and they didn't melt either.
yeah, and probably like plaster. Like they looked like normal walls. So I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I don't know about the acid they have in this.
Look,
in that
they
century.
might not have done all their scientific research in making this show.
No,
It's possible.
no, I don't believe that. President Lincoln.
Oh, you're right, President Lincoln. Like they know President Lincoln exists.
I don't even
Clearly,
know
they've
how
done
you
all
would
their research.
I don't know how you would even explain that part as a podcast. I would just recommend anybody to look up maybe like YouTube Mega Man President Lincoln or something.
Seeing it out of context, you're not actually losing any context
At all.
It's that surprising.
Basically, Proto Man is about to blast the statue of President Lincoln, and Mega Man gets like outraged by this and takes the bullet for some reason.
You can't let Lincoln get shot again.
I guess.
You
That
have to
part's so
defend
dumb.
Statues.
Also, the weird casual sexism because 90s cartoons. That's pretty great.
I like that they at least have like a female character who does stuff. It's just,
But the thing is, she
world
tries to.
super sexist.
Yeah.
It's like it's just all bearing down upon her.
Yeah,
'Cause
no, it's
still
true.
the 90s.
Yeah, it's really weird. What a weird show. I like it so much. I actually watched that fan film, that Mega Man fan film as well.
Oh, how was
And
that?
it for what it is, it's actually quite good. You have to get past the fact that it's not an actual like company making the film. It's just a bunch of people, probably maybe with like $1,000, like whatever they made at their like Burger King job or whatever that week or whatever, going towards the production. If you take that into account, it's done really well. and actually kind of lovingly for the like material. Like it's obvious that they actually like Mega Man's like the backstory of like Dr. Wily and stuff like that and the Robot Masters. That being said, some of the CG for some of the Robot Masters is absolutely terrible in a hilarious way when it's not meant to be. It's meant to be kind of self-serious. I think they should have gone a little more silly with it, like because of the thing is
Because of their constraints.
that's it. That if you have constraints like that, just be a little bit silly with it. Like play off of it. Maybe try not to go so serious with it, I guess. But otherwise, it was totally fine. Everyone in that is Asian, and it's weird. Mega Man's Asian. Proto Man is Asian. Fucking Iceman, Flame Man, they're all Asian. And then Cutman is like a CG robot. So like not even all the Robot Masters are people playing robots. There are some that are just CG animated robots like Gutsman, which is really weird as well. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't like the guy who actually played Mega Man, but he seemed kind of like a nerd. Like he just seemed kind of like a nerd. And the special effects, I think the problem with it, if I had any really, is that the special effects required for something like a robot stealing a power from another robot and then using that out of his gun doesn't come through well with like bad special effects. Like you have to kind of know what you're doing to be able to show an ice beam being shot out of a like hand cannon against someone. Or
the Ruby Spear show had Mega Man stealing powers down.
Yeah, to the point where they said every time, "Now you have my power."
Yep.
Yeah. Why must we fight? We are not enemies. That's basically a line. In fact, I think that is a line out of that movie, the fan film.
But does anyone say, "What am I fighting for?"
No, there's no zero in it.
Is there anything better than the voice acting in the Mega Man X games?
Yeah. If we find those energy resources, we'll find Dr. Wily.
So good.
But I never seen anything like this on Earth. Let's stop Dr. Wily at once. Mega Man.
That's so good.
I can't believe they used it.
Nope, one take only.
Yeah.
That's it. We only have 5 minutes to get all this dialogue down.
I think that's just the best because it's like Dr. Wily forgot his name.
It's so funny. It's too good.
So, one of my favorite things to do, legitimately, is every couple of weekends, I'll load that video up and watch it like 3 times in a row and just laugh really hard and then put it away. So that is maybe one of my most watched videos on YouTube. I revisit it over and over.
It's a good one to revisit.
I can't believe how bad it is.
It's so good.
I will say for the fan film, whoever played Dr. Wily gave it enough like ridiculous evilness with like kind of a humanity behind it that it felt legit. Like it starts off with Wily like with Dr. Light creating robots and stuff, and then he's kind of being overshadowed, and so he slowly goes crazy. Like there's actually kind of a weird development with Wily in a fan film. And whoever they got to play him, even I don't know if the mustache he was donning was like fake or not, but it fit his face pretty well, and he looked like a young Dr. Wily, like maybe just out of university, like learning what he's doing and stuff, and then just like, I'm tired of being overshadowed or whatever, and going crazy and stealing Dr. Light's robots to like cause havoc, sort of thing. It was, his role was surprisingly really well done, which I think is what makes every other role seem really bad. Also, role is kind of bad. The robot role, because Asian girl with blonde hair is a weird thing because it's an obvious wig. Yeah. So. But, I mean, if you ever want to check it out, it is, in fact, free on YouTube in high definition quality, and it's an hour and a half long. It's a full movie. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you can look that up.
The other thing I wanted to mention, that one of the reasons I really liked that Rui Spears cartoon and completely appealed to me off the bat is because I recognized a lot of those voice actors from Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Like Scott McNeil. Really good job as Wily.
Why is Wily always this, like, kind of high-pitched, crazy German? He's never been portrayed as anything else, and he's never had an official canon voice. That just became it.
It's weird.
Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily.
We'll find Dr. Wily. That reminds me, actually. Holy fuck. Okay, so you know I like The Binding of Isaac.
I am aware.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a guy named Northern Lion?
Yes.
On YouTube? Okay. For the longest time when Rebirth came out, every time, like, he fought Mega Ma, he thought his name was Mega Man. Because the W looked like an N, I guess, or something.
Huh.
So, like, it took him, like, 100 episodes to realize that it was Mega Ma, but every time he went in there, he would do, like, we find those energy resources, we'll find Dr. Wily. It made no sense because his name wasn't ever Mega Man. So he was referencing, first of all, this kind of weird video game, like, trope in a place that makes no sense at all. And it took me, like, 2 episodes to realize, oh, he thinks it says Mega Man. That's why he's doing that dumb impression. And I always thought that was one of the classic funny moments, too. Like, that's kind of what endeared me to him the most. I was just like, okay, this guy's just like a total nerd idiot. I like this guy. Mega Ma. Mega Man. Oh,
yeah,
God damn
I
it.
found Northern Line because he was one of the few people making content on Gods Will Be Watching.
Oh, he did. You're right.
Yes.
But not very much. He didn't do it a whole lot.
I mean, he did like the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he did like a playthrough and like a preview video.
Like, if you go to his channel, it's basically
It's
all
so much
Rebirth,
Binding of
though.
Isaac.
Like, so much Binding of Isaac.
Like, I feel like he's like pitching. That's what people just watch, so he has to keep doing that.
Yeah. Like,
I'm sure he enjoys it, but it
when
does seem like that's the only thing people watch on his channel.
when Rebirth was coming out, I was kind of like, oh, cool, because I kind of, like, caught on to him a little bit with the old Binding of Isaac, but he was already up to, like, episode 900 or something. So I was just like, I'm not watching 900 hours of content. I'll just, like, pick and choose some. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed some of that stuff. And then I was like, okay, cool. When Rebirth comes out, he's going to start from the very beginning. I'll be able to, like, watch the 1 or 2 he does a day and just keep up with it. That motherfucker put out, like, 20 on the first day. It was annoying. I was just like, oh, I'm already behind the times. I watched 5, and then the next day when I looked, he was at 30-something. I was just like, you son of a bitch. He put one out, like, every hour. And weirdly enough, they all got thousands of hits. Like, people were into watching it. So I wasn't impressed, though. I was actually mad because I was like, this is my time. I'm going to catch up from the beginning. Going to be, like, on the ground floor. Nope. I'm already behind. Now he's up to, like, episode 200 something. It's just like,
he makes
what?
Makes a lot of Binding of Isaac videos.
Yeah, he does. But then again, he also gets paid to play a game he loves. So why wouldn't you?
He's exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mega Ma. It's so good. That was the turning point where I was like, no, like, this guy was good. Now he's great. Like, I will follow this guy to the end. Just a dumb reference. Anyways, that's it for anime, kind of.
Yep.
Samurai Pizza Cats is coming up soon for me. I have that as well. So,
Cool.
I like that show. I grew up with it.
Yeah, I've not watched that in a really long time.
Samurai Pizza Cats. Who do you call
As in,
when you want some
since
pepperoni?
Whenever it was on TV originally, I was a little kid.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah. So we have news we could talk about because this is all really weird.
Yes.
Let's do the too long don't read part first. Konami says fuck y'all and leaves everything. Now, more specifically...
So they remove Kojima's name from Metal Gear games.
Yeah.
They're pulling PT tomorrow.
Yes.
29th. They've canceled Silent Hills.
Yeah.
And they've delisted themselves from the New York Stock Exchange.
They said, screw you guys, I'm going home, and literally did that, basically. They are like, oh, we don't want to make video games anymore, K. Like, we don't want to be a company that makes money anymore.
I don't know. I think they make money off, what is it they do? Like Plinko? Like,
oh, litigation.
Machines?
Yeah. Oh, really? Didn't actually know that.
They make, like, they don't make their money off video games anymore, is, like, their issue. Like, they're making much more money somewhere from something else.
Does it seem almost like Kojima going up to, like, the CEO? It's almost like a bad breakup, it seems, right? Where it's like...
Yeah.
Where Kojima's like, I think we should see new people or other people. And then all of Konami's like, fine, we don't want to do video games anyways. And then just shut their door, locked it, and, like, threw down their blinds.
The problem is they've, like, been doing fewer and fewer video games. Like, Kojima Productions is, like, the only... They have Kojima Productions and they have Pro Evolution Soccer. That's all they've been making for a while.
To be fair, Pro Evolution Soccer is huge. But not as big as FIFA. And never will be. But you're right, and I think that's maybe why Kojima actually decided to leave, because he's like, I'm literally Konami, I'm just going to form my own company. Like,
yeah, like, I mean, I assume they didn't give him the respect he deserves as being the only one making any video games for them.
Yeah, no, I'm
like,
sure
particularly that they put him in charge of Silent Hill, too.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, he was the only one there. He was like the dude juggling everything, basically, and they were just throwing pennies at him. Mm. And then I think he realized he could be a circus performer. So he's going to make more money doing anything he's doing now under his own name.
And Konami's just going to go back to making slot machines, I guess. Oh, and they have health and fitness clubs.
Good riddance, kind of. Like, Konami used to be a name I respected back in the day.
Yeah.
It hasn't been, like, the name Konami actually became Hideo Kojima ever since, like, 1999, basically.
Yeah.
And since then, anything Konami has done, I've always just associated with Kojima, because those were the games I cared about.
Yep.
So, fuck off and die, thanks. Like, I'm kind of glad, because then we don't have more shitty companies ruining the environment for people that are actually great at their job.
Do you remember what their floor space at E3 last year was like?
No.
They had a giant wall that said Konami on it. They had, like, this huge area, yeah, and they wouldn't let people film it. And then they had, like, a booth with the Metal Gear trailer and, like, 2 things with Pro Evolution Soccer. And they had, like, a huge amount of floor space. It's like, we might need this later if we ever decide to make video games again, so we have to hold on to it. We're just going to put our name up and say, fuck video games. Now they're out, though. I guess. I don't know. They're keeping their stocks on, like, the London Stock Exchange.
Oh, great. I'm actually just looking at their stocks right now. They're plummeting. Like...
Oh, that could be it, because they're only known for video games in America, so that could be it. The Kojima leaving could be screwing that all up. So
well, this shows April 1st, 2013 to March 31st, 2014. They are basically down $12 million in that year.
Wow.
So they've been hitting rock bottom. Maybe that's also why Kojima decided, like, any money they are making is from me. fuck those guys, I'm going home. Like, I'm gonna make that money, basically, and not be part of a dying ship.
Yeah.
I'm gonna create my own ship called Titanic 2. Nothing bad will ever happen to it.
You just go work with Platinum.
It's kind of too bad, too, because Silent Hill was, like, Resident Evil has always been my favorite survival horror game.
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill was always kind of like my second favorite for that era, like the end of the PlayStation to the beginning of the PlayStation 2 era, specifically, where it was basically like Resident Evil, but more of a mind fuck. So, like, there was more of a psychological, weird horror stuff going on there. More Japanese horror, really, where Resident Evil was more American B-movie horror sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, it was always one of my favorites as well. Back in the day, like, Contra was one of my favorite games on the NES, and then, like, the different Contra 3 on the Super Nintendo, so on and so forth. The Castlevania games were legitimately, like, some of my favorite video games ever, along with Mega Man and stuff, but that's Capcom. That has no meaning here. Metal Gear is one of my favorite game series ever because of the story, which is huge for me because I prefer mechanics over story always. And the mechanics in that game, those games aren't very good, except for Snake Eater, in which they're kind of great. But anyways, the story has always just been this batshit, like, crazy espionage, like, people behind curtains pulling levers and strings, and you're just like a soldier trying to find out what the fuck's going on sort of thing. Like, they did so many things well. And then I realized that all died, and Metal Gear was the only thing that made me care about Konami anymore. So I hope they burn. I hope they just go down.
Yeah, let them like slot machines. That seems to be what they care about.
Yeah. No, exactly.
If they don't, like, get out of here. If you're not going to care about video games, GTFO.
Pretty much. So, specifically, PT is being pulled down technically tomorrow, like the 29th. We're doing this technically on the 28th now. So that's going to be gone. People that have it on their hard drives, like, that's going to be a rarity. So you might want to keep it if you still have it, I guess. I'm sure it'll end up on a torrent or something at some point. Like, when this news was announced, I'm sure people ripped it somewhere on the internet and it'll be available one day. But for now, that's going to be gone. Removing Kojima's name from Metal Gear is gross in every respect because Kojima is Metal Gear.
Yeah.
That's like taking Tom Clancy's name off, like, Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six because he died or something. Like, it's gross. It's just a disgusting thing to do. It's kind of, like, apprehensible. It's really gross.
That's kind of the worst part of this. That they're like,
Silent Hill's being canceled. Yeah. Like, we knew.
That was obvious.
We knew when Kojima said, like, threw up his middle fingers and dropped the mic, we knew Silent Hills wasn't coming out.
Yeah. There was no one else the whole point was he was going to make it. That's all that was behind Silent Hills as a thing. Kojima.
Well, Del Toro actually said he was not part of the project as well earlier this week. So that was another hint for anybody that didn't get that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Also, the New York Stock Exchange stuff. Maybe they took themselves out of it because they don't want to look bad to like other stockholders in the world market because they're losing so much money.
In the markets where they have slot machines or health spas, like the shit they actually care about.
Yeah, so
these video games fucking up their other business.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense to not look bad to your owners basically by pulling out and making it look like you're actually making money when really in the world market you're not.
Yeah.
So that's just a business decision. I'm sure that has nothing to do with them throwing up the deuces, as
it's
Nicki Minaj would
funny.
put it. Yeah.
It's just funny as part of this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
it's
is.
Like Konami taking their ball and going home.
Yep, that's exactly what this is. It's kind of too bad in a way.
Their ball of Metal Gears.
So many there were too many iterations on Metal Gear in those games. too many. Metal Gear Ray never needed to exist. Rex was cool. It was like a dumbass mech robot dinosaur thing. And it would just stomp around. Like, it was actually a really dumb design, but it was designed as a tank, so it made sense to be big and bulky and, like, hard to kill. Unless you took out the giant radar, then apparently it was easy, because Solid Snake could do it alone.
Yep. It's like an AT-AT.
Huh?
An AT-AT Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, an AT-AT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke can just lightsaber it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or some Ewoks can hit stuff with logs.
Ray was not the shit. Arsenal was the shit. You're in a Metal Gear for that whole fucking game. That is cool. Ray has nothing compared to that. Anyway. So, since we've been gone, Steam was like, yo, Bethesda, we want to try to make some extra money. We know you guys have a whole huge modding community, and Bethesda's like, yeah, we need money because we haven't made a good game in years. So they were like, cool, we're going to charge for these cool mods that people have been giving out for free. And Bethesda's like, okay, let's take most of the money, though, okay? So, Steam, or Valve specifically, introduced paid mods, like, was a thing that publishers and developers could decide if they wanted to take part of. Bethesda said yes, and Skyrim was their kind of like beta into this whole idea, into their market here. Skyrim has forever, basically on PC, been one of the biggest modding communities for any video game, so they figured, let's start with the biggest and see how it goes, and it went fucking terribly.
People were pissed.
The backlash to it was Gamergate levels of people being pissed. Like, it was a lot of people getting angry. Now, I am not really against paid mods because I feel like the people who make stuff should always be paid for any work they do. What I am against is the fact that they were getting 25% of whatever they were charging, so the publishers of the mods felt like to make any money that was like sustainable at all, they would have to charge an outrageous amount of money just to keep their overlords happy. Now, Valve always has a 30% cut on like anything on their store or whatever, like for this stuff. So that was kind of a non-negotiable whatever. In theory, this is kind of okay. 70%, a 70-30 split, I think is totally fine when you think Steam is the biggest storefront for like your thing. It's basically free advertising, really, like 30% for advertising to get your stuff out there, for people to easily click a button and not have to download launchers and like boot up like different BAT or INI files and try different stuff out. It is the easiest. They have the infrastructure there, so 30% is not asking a lot, I feel, for what they do, really. What I feel like is a lot is when you are the publisher or like the company who made a game that has long since died out of the zeitgeist and are like, we can make more money off of this. Let's take even more percent than Valve is taking. That is fucking gross. 45% is a disgusting amount, because the only reason people play Skyrim these days at all anymore is to mod it and to try to do like silly things with it. You are killing the only reason your game is still relevant. So yeah.
I think ZeniMax is kind of the worst. Like, they're a really bad company.
Yeah, no, they are. Was it ZeniMax then?
I mean, ZeniMax owns Bethesda. Like, they're their overlords, basically.
Yeah, but do you think it was their decision?
I feel like that kind of decision.
Like, they put pressure on Bethesda people.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they all kind of realized this was a bad idea when, as they put it, they got dump trucks of emails to go through of pissed off people. So they actually took paid mod support out for Skyrim on Steam. Now, out for Skyrim is a distinction I think has to be made, because while they did say we didn't know what we were getting into, and basically, if you read between the lines, we fucked up by starting with the biggest modding community ever. Mm-hmm. They never said that we're not going to do paid mods anymore, or this is an idea that we're killing. They said that it was not a good idea to start with the biggest modding community on Steam, and that they would probably, like, in between the lines, they're probably going to try it with some smaller devs, which, if a dev wants to allow it, I think is totally fine. Like Kerbal Space Program, I could see those guys, now that they've launched, I could see them maybe doing paid mods and taking 0%, just so their modders, they like support the modding community quite a bit. So, and I know they've said before that like they think people should get paid for like the cool stuff they did. Most of the people that worked on Kerbal Space Program started off as modders. That's kind of how they like got into making stuff with video games. So I could see like companies like that, it would be a good fit. I mean, sure, the 30% cut to Valve is kind of shitty, but if it's a cool mod for a game that you can do some really cool stuff with the mods, you're kind of buying like small DLC that other people are creating, and I think that's a cool thing to be able to support this community of people that in their free time, like at night or whatever, they're tinkering away to make this rocket look cooler or something. If you wanted to pay $5 or something, that's good. That is what I'm for. So.
Yes. I mean, it basically exists already with TF2 hats and Dota stuff.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And Unreal Tournament is kind of doing the same thing.
The pay what you want for mods is a thing that should be there, I think.
Yes.
So that's important. Games like Killing Floor, man. Killing Floor was a mod, and when Killing Floor actually came out, the mod support for it was really good. So I think that's one of the things that drew people to it. I think Killing Floor 2, the developers have said before in like talks and stuff that they fully support the modding community and they think it's great and stuff like that. Most sane companies do support the modding community because you put out a game, right? Yeah. These people are altering little things in the game to make it funner for them. They are having fun with your product and they loving that you are letting them do it. Like, if nothing else, the goodwill is amazing. So why would you take that away? Like,
I mean, yeah, look at friggin' Warcraft.
Right. It created a whole new genre of video game by allowing mods.
It created more than one.
Well, I'm talking about MOBA specifically.
But it also, the tower defense thing came from that too, kind of.
Tower defense games were out before that.
Yeah,
so.
But the wave that we got sort of sprung out from there. Like that was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, like, I don't know. I think with video games, iteration is the most important thing, and taking what the last guy did and making it a little bit better in whatever way. That starts with small stuff like modding. Like, maybe you didn't like this sword in Skyrim because it looks too plain, so let's put in this badass sword or something. Where it gets weird, though, is that there are games, specifically the one I'm thinking of is called Tabletop Simulator, where that game is nothing but a platform for modding, so it's
all people stealing copyrighted stuff.
Yeah, basically. So the weird thing is they could never allow paid mods at all. That is
unless like they were coming from board game companies themselves.
Yeah, at that point it's just a DLC pack though, because it would be official, so it wouldn't be a mod really.
It's true.
So yeah, when you get into that territory where you are ripping off another property and making money off of it, that is like, you better start calling lawyers. That is an actual thing that will get you in trouble.
I know, that's like when you start thinking about the Skyrim stuff, like there's so much of the Skyrim modding community that's like putting copyright stuff in that game.
Lord of the Rings stuff specifically.
Yes.
Yes.
Like it's big. That's a big part of it. It's like
Yeah. I mean,
you can't charge for that stuff.
who wouldn't want Sting? But at the same time, if you created that and you're selling it, you're probably going to have some like Tolkien company call you up or something. Like
Yes.
it's yeah. They're
Layers.
I think the other problem I have with this whole thing is that Steam, you've actually we haven't talked about this before, but you've said it before and I agree with you. Steam has a hard time like catering their fucking front page of their store that is their livelihood. There's no way in hell we're ever going to see some good like janitorial work done up to clean up all the garbage in paid mods.
And mod scene would be even possibly worse than the early access scene. I don't know if that's possible, but it could be.
The early access scene is not bad. You have to look into Greenlight if you want to see some garbage.
Oh, you're right.
Greenlight's way worse.
You're right.
Because early access, I think, has actually started evening itself out. It's taken a while, but with the help of
I feel like less people are paying attention to early access stuff.
less people are paying attention to it. More people are getting completely outraged that video games they're looking forward to even go into early access because they just want the full thing.
Yep.
YouTubers and like media celebrities and stuff on Twitter, them talking about games in early access and how they're terrible and stuff, like it's evened out quite a bit. The people that actually know what early access is now, where you're paying for an alpha or beta version of a game and are okay with that, they are always the market that this was going to reach out to, and they are the ones that care. And that's totally fine because it's no longer are there a whole group of people thinking this is how I get a video game early anymore, because it's not. It is the beta build and usually an alpha build of something that you can try out and give feedback for, and that like those people are gone that think the video game's out now on early access. Those people are dead. Like there's nobody that's stupid anymore. The people that want early access are the ones who still check it. So that's evened itself out. Greenlight is still full of a bunch of shitty mobile games and Flash games that people think are good enough or were told were good enough by their parents to go onto Steam. They go onto Steam and there's still people on there voting them up. Like they're getting their friends, or if they're internet celebs or something, they're getting their followers to vote their shit up. That Greenlight is still kind of a popularity contest that is not working very well, but it has turned out some okay stuff. So that needs a little bit more work. That's starting to even out a little bit now too. Mods are going to take a considerable amount of time more than both of those things. Like there's no way even everybody like doing the curating themselves, there's no fucking way.
The scale of stuff with mods is so different. Like there's so many different kinds of mods.
Yeah.
Like making that, you have to make all that shit, make sure it's clear what you're getting.
Yep. And like paying for a skin is
in a single play. What bothers me is paying for a skin in a single player thing.
Yeah.
Like that kind of. Like a multiplayer thing, you're at least playing with other people. There's something, but single player stuff.
And with like Greenlight and Steam Early Access, it's one game that people are like saying this is good, this is not good. In modding communities, there are literal thousands of like pages of mods for one game. Like, yeah, it's. There's no way you could curate it properly. So it's going to be one of those things that if they get the habit of like doing it right, it will work out eventually, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of people actually like being dedicated, voting stuff up, voting stuff down to let other people know what's good and what's not and worth money and worth no money. And I don't know if the modding people who use mods are the type of people to make those distinctions, because they're used to getting everything for free, and I think they're entitled bastards.
Yeah.
Just
Like
straight up.
if Steam's gonna keep trying this one game at a time, like they're just gonna get a shit fit, or people are gonna move away from that game. Like it seems like a potential, like Skyrim was big enough. I feel like thought they could take a risk that it wouldn't kill the community.
Yeah.
It just turned out to be such a shit fit. It wasn't worth. I have to assume not that many people were buying the mods.
Right.
Like that they weren't selling enough to justify.
If
the
they
hate
weren't
were
selling
getting.
enough, they
they
yeah.
would still be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Skyrim was basically the Ferguson of paid mods. So,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, how much did you love Five Nights at Freddy's? Speaking of
Not
mods,
at all.
did you ever play it?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I've watched you play it.
You watched me play it? Yeah. Oh, I apologize for that then, first of all. Oh, was that the night? Oh, fucking Oni,
Yeah.
man. Holy shit. So, yeah, he bought that game for me. I saw it in my Steam thing pop up, and I was just like, and he's like, have fun, lol, 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 or something dumb. So I was just like, I have to play this now, and I'll do it on stream just to prove that I did. That ruined my night. Like, that actually ruined it.
Or you just logging off.
Yeah, I just logged off, and I went to bed, and I didn't sleep all night. It was bad. Like, anyways, so my biggest problem with Five Nights at Freddy's isn't my like weird irrational fears of camera movement and stuff. It's more the fact that it's kind of a dumb thing that took on such a big life of its own that it warranted the release of 3 games in 1 year, and now is getting a 4th.
Yep.
So
That's ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. And that is all because of YouTubers. It is 100% the reason. Because when I saw that game initially, it was like a fucking nothing game on like it wasn't even on the front page when I saw it. I had to scroll back on like what was released this week or whatever. Go back a through pages on the Steam store, and it's like Five Nights, what the fuck is this? Click on it. Oh, this looks dumb. And then like go away from it. And then the next thing I know, 3 days later, it's the biggest thing ever because Markiplier played it or something. It's kind of weird. It's a weird, like, I don't know. It's the focal point for when you realize that YouTube celebrities and streamers and stuff can make or break something. It is the poster child for that game. Was literally nothing until people played it and other people started buying it and caring.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much I like that. I don't think any one person should have all that power, as Kanye West so eloquently put.
I mean, it's that the way the YouTuber thing works. It's like the kind of games that work for
scare
them
cams and screaming
to create content off of.
Yeah.
It's not like the kind of game that is interesting to play a lot of the time.
I kind of have a legitimate problem with that. Like, I don't have a problem with YouTubers and people making money off of playing video games. I think that's the coolest thing, honestly, that people could be their own boss and make money doing something they love. That's amazing.
It's great. It's great.
What I hate is that there's this herd mentality of screaming and like getting scared is hilarious, and that's what makes a YouTuber popular. Like, that is annoying. So that's not their fault. They're just playing to their demographic. It's people's fault for being retards, and I think that's my problem.
Well, my bigger problem
Idiocracy
is that developers, people making games specifically to pander to that sort of market, doesn't result in good games.
I disagree with you. I think that is smart for the developer to do because they know that's the market too, and they're in it to make. It's their dream to make money doing what they love, which is creating video games.
That's fine. I'm saying I don't think it results in the best games.
Oh, it totally doesn't. It doesn't result in even good games.
That's my problem with it. It doesn't result in good games.
Yeah. So
I want good games.
And I mean, that's the thing too, is that like as much as I like the guy, JonTron really started getting popular when he started looking at bad games. Like, people just, I don't know what it is, but people are drawn to bad games, but like not playing them. They just want to watch them. But then the problem is that the game companies realize that the way they can get money is by making specifically bad games so people will watch it.
Yeah.
So,
Like people making videos attacking bad games, then the company's making money. That's not always the case.
no.
Like sometimes they don't get any money from people making videos off them.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's just affecting the developer community in a weird way.
That's where I think Twitch comes in and is a completely different beast in a weird way. Because the YouTube mentality is they like to see the personalities basically playing different shitty, usually scary games or whatever, and then turning it off. The streaming people that like to visit Twitch more than YouTube and watch actual live gameplay are more drawn to the games that look like they handle like really well, look like are mechanically sound, are beautiful, sound great, and everything, because it's almost like they're playing the game at the same time by just watching it and experiencing it. So
I feel like because they're more interested in bulk, like more content.
That's it.
The YouTube community is like in and out, quick. They want short videos.
That's right.
But Twitch streaming is like hours of content.
Right. So the game actually has to be good to hold up in the Twitch community, which is, I think, the way the internet should go. I hope the shift goes way more to Twitch than to YouTube because, first of all, most YouTube personalities make me sick to my stomach. The fact that they have any personalities on there and get money off of the shit they do. But more importantly is I like the sense of community that streaming brings as opposed to the isolation that you're watching a video, then you leave a comment and go to bed or something. With streaming, you can talk to other people in real time and like talk to the person who's playing a game. I think it's the way the internet should have been at first. Like, it should have been bringing people together with the love of the same game. Like, I could go to a Resident Evil stream right now and start talking some smack about Resident Evil because I know that game so well, and then find that other person that knows the game so well, and we could have a conversation about it. Whereas in YouTube, I'm just going to be called a fat faggot.
God, YouTube comments is the fucking worst.
I'm so glad most smart people have started turning them off because they're useless. They are completely useless. They're only there to like bring you down, basically. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh no, I scrolled down. Fuck. I fucked up. I scrolled down on a YouTube page.
And it's part of that stupid mentality of people who use YouTube that you will always scroll down because you want to see what other people said. It's, I don't know. It's this, YouTube is this weird echo chamber of bad ideas and opinions in like an isolated like world. Whereas streaming feels like there's some interaction and some bouncing. There's a conversation as opposed to yelling at a wall and then the wall like saying fag on it after a while.
I mean, there are streams where that's all it is, but
there are, and those, but you don't have to go to those streams.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, those streams are really popular too.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Twitch is the perfect like balance to this at all. I'm just saying that we need
Twitch
to
can work,
right.
Whereas I doubt, like YouTube comments are just they're unsalvageable.
They are. It's kind of the same problem that I have with a lot of conversations on Twitter as well. There's no feeling in words, like at all. So you kind of project what the person's intentions are just based on like the black and white text on the screen. Whereas when you have more than one line you could type, or even like, I know it's such a dumb little thing, but Kappa or like any of the like emoticons, it was the same thing with MSN. Anytime I would talk to like some of my friends who would never use emoticons and stuff, I always got the feeling that they were being really dry or sarcastic or kind of rude. But like the people that would put like a laughing face or like a heart or like a thumbs up or something, it adds a little bit of personality to show that they're kidding or they're like not being serious or something. Nothing like that's on YouTube, really.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to like when somebody says, oh yeah, you did really good there or whatever, Kappa. Then you know, okay, it's just like a lighthearted jest or something. But like otherwise you could take it either as serious as like, yeah, I did really good even though you sucked, or a if you're in a bad mood that day, you project like, oh, this guy's being a prick right now. So it's kind of weird that even something so little as having emoticons can actually change how a conversation's perceived. And that's where Twitch does the chatting thing better than YouTube as well.
Yep.
Psychology, man. It's a thing. It works.
It is a thing.
It is a thing. I think that's all we have to talk about.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a show.
That's a show. We did it.
Yay!
It is April 28th. We started on the 27th. We actually technically started on the 28th, I guess, but I'm not counting. For you, it's been the 28th for hours now, for 4 hours, so.
It's true.
Housekeeping stuff, I guess. I'm trying to get iTunes working again, so I'm hoping the podcast will start going back on there. Dealing with Apple is the biggest pain in the ass because they take forever, and they always require some weird bullshit. So hoping that's going to work again. Stitcher is still working, so you can still listen on Stitcher. The site is paid up for again. It almost lapsed. I got an email the other day that's like, you better pay this within the 10 days or you're going to lose your domain name. I'm like, not again! So I paid that off right away. Also on the site, Off the Tracks is now available, that anime podcast that you were a part of, so people can go listen to that and learn about anime or agree or disagree if they already know more about anime than you two, which I think is probably not likely. There's a review of White God you put up just today.
Yep.
Available, which basically says everything you said in this podcast. So, but you can go read that if you weren't listening, or you could just go fuck yourself if you weren't listening. Why are you listening to a podcast if you're not hearing what we're saying, you dumbass? Other than that, I think we're done. That's it. That's the podcast.
Enough.
So we'll see you guys next week.
Maybe.
Bye.
Bye.
Probably, unless the video game comes out.